Hey guys, it's Damien here from School of Attraction. Many of you watching, I'm sure already know that I work with both men and women, which gives me a bit of a unique perspective and allows me to see the common problems that we both have in dating, as well as the very different, wildly different, and often opposing problems that we both have. But one thing that is really common that I see that really degrades the desirability and long-term dating success that from both men and women is the unwillingness to be selfish. And this might sound confusing, right? Because as far as most of us are concerned, one of the things that should be attractive about a partner is their willingness to support, be selfless, right? Be generous, and all these things are things that both men and women tend to look for in a partner. So why is this selfishness thing so important? Well, what happens with a lot of men and women, and actually more women do this than men, but a lot of the guys who come to me do it a lot too, because the nice guy syndrome, something that I have had as well as a younger man, is very common with the guys who might come to me, right? So what happens is when we meet someone we like, right, someone that we're really sexually attracted to or romantically attached to, what happens is we suddenly switch into this mode where what we want to do is demonstrate our values, right, or heighten our potential values as a potential partner to this person by demonstrating how generous we can be, right, how selfless we can be. And what happens is that we create this pattern right from the beginning, right early on in these potential interactions that may become sexual or may become romantic, that I will do what you want, right, that I will be more or less here to please you as best that I can. And there's nothing intrinsically wrong with wanting to please or take care of your partner. I'm not trying to put shade on that. But the difficulty is that these people really then struggle with saying no, disappointing the other person, making sure their own wants and needs are taken care of. In short, they're incapable or massively struggle to be selfish when it's appropriate. And I see this again over and over and over again in these like coaching sessions that I do with people, this struggle to be selfish, because we're raised to think that selfish is a dirty word, but actually sometimes it's exactly what the doctor ordered. You see, pretty women, let's talk about you guys first, right? Most pretty women have no shortage of men around them who are itching to be her virtual slave, right? To do anything she wants because she's hot, and if that's what it'll take to get her to like him, then he'll go ahead and do anything she wants, right? A lot of women have these guys floating around with that mindset in their minds. She doesn't value or respect that kind of behavior. In fact, very few people do. And yes, I have met women who actually want guys to behave like that and be like their kind of virtual slaves, but those women they're seeking that as an attempt to feel safe, right? They've felt really unsafe with men, and they've told themselves somewhere along the line, if I can find a guy who would just do anything for me, then maybe that means he wouldn't leave me. And that's its own psychological drama stuff that you don't really want to interact with until she's dealt with it, right? But most women aren't like that. But most women, what'll happen is they'll experience you being really nice and generous at the beginning, and that's cool and that's nice. But at the same time, they'll start to feel like this was too easy, right? This guy, he liked me too easily, which is another problem entirely. But also, there's no challenge to this man, right? There is no, I just seem to get whatever I want whenever I ask for it. And whenever we get that, it doesn't matter if it's in relationships, if it's in friendships, if it's in work, if it's in a video game, right? Have you ever used cheat codes in a video game only for that video game to become really boring really quickly, right? This is not just a sexual attraction thing, right? Human beings need to be challenged. And I don't want to talk about dating like it's a game, right? Because you don't want to be playing games with people. But essentially, if something is too easy, then we lose interest in it. And no one is that easy. This is the truth of the matter, right? If you are comfortable, you need to be more comfortable with men, with women, depending on what gender you are and what gender you like. You need to be more comfortable disappointing that person when it's for your own wants and needs. You need to be more comfortable saying no. You need to be more comfortable not losing yourself in that other person and the desire to please them. Because ironically, in our desire to please, what we do is we turn them off. We lose their interest. And a lot of men, a lot of women have experienced this. They meet someone, they seem to be super interested in the beginning, and then 1, 2, 3 dates in, bam, they lose interest. It's gone. And the irony of the thing is that if you're better at being selfish sometimes, so what I mean by being selfish, by the way, I should kind of point that out. Being selfish is being honest if you don't want to drive too far for a date. It means canceling a date because you just don't want to go out in the rain. It means, it means any of those things if it's a big deal to you. Now, I'm not just talking about just being persnickety and just being a pain in the butt. I mean, if these things actually matter a lot to you and they hurt you and you're not taking care of your needs, like your needs to not be overwhelmed or overstressed or any of these things, if you don't take care of those first before acting on generosity, the other person is always going to feel that lack of integrity in you. And we never find that interesting. So you need to start doing that. You need to start being willing to do that. And that really is a practice, because for a lot of us, to be selfish means we're not worthy of love. And it's a very complicated emotional space to sit in, is to have someone we like and be willing to be selfish with them. Like, not all the time, but at key moments when it really matters to us. And ultimately, if you're sitting there thinking, but I just want to be generous, I want to be able to look after people around me, I don't want to have to be selfish. Well, here's the interesting thing. The people who are capable of the highest volume of selflessness, right, of generosity, so the people who are capable of being the most generous that I know of, are also the same people who are the most willing to be selfish when they need to be. Right? It's a really important thing to keep in mind. That's the irony of the whole thing, right? By being too selfless too much of the time, you are less sexually interesting to other people, and you can ultimately be less generous towards them, right? Because at a certain point you get overwhelmed and pissed off and resentful, and that will happen to absolutely everybody. So guys and girls watching this video, I'm interested to hear your thoughts on this. I'm very big on this one. I think that I see it way too often, especially with women, but again with my male clients as well. This fear of being selfish that we're taught by society that's wrong, but it's so right. It's so critical. And when you do that, when you're willing to be selfish, your self-esteem will go up. So I know this can be quite a confronting video for a lot of you, but I think it's really important. I think it's super critical to understand that we suffer with that, men and women together. That we're in this, and we both need to learn to be a little bit more selfish and be okay with that, and understand that's going to make us more lovable, give us a higher self-esteem, and generally make our lives and dating lives much better. I'd love to hear your thoughts on the topic. If you've liked this channel, give me a thumbs up, subscribe, write something in the comments if you had an experience around this one way or another. I'd love to hear from you. For the rest, I'd look forward to seeing you guys in my future videos. Take care.